Well, here we are again. Thank you for listening to this, the ShrimpsNet podcast. I can't even speak. Joining the three Ronnies of myself, Joel, and later on, Charlie, we have two guests tonight. And we're sort of like a chat show tonight because we're doing revolving chairs. We've got the sparkling and brand new groundsman in Rob Davidson. Welcome along, Rob.
Thank you very much.
And later on, hopefully, with his own Wi-Fi this time, we'll have first team assistant manager Diarmuid O'Carroll. But that one's to come. So we'll do our usual and we'll start with Rob. Rob, welcome along. I've been wanting to get you on for a few weeks, but you're a busy guy.
I know, yeah, last Thursday was a bit of a shambles, but I'm here today and that's all that matters really, is it?
Yeah, of course it is. So how do you, at your bright and sparkling young age, become to be head groundsman at Morecambe FC? Did you leave school and think this is what I want to do, or did you fall into by accident? What happened?
To be honest, mate, being from the age of about 14 years old, all I wanted to do was cut grass. And I know it sounds daft and, people will laugh. And I don't know, it just, getting out in the garden and pushing them over and making the place look nice was just what I wanted to do. And, followed my heart and followed, what my desire wanted to do and my passion. And, yeah, went on to Mysco and yeah, that's where it kind of all started, really.
So yeah, you presumably, I hope you're not going to diss me here by saying, no, actually, I hate football, but presumably you've got an interest in sport.
Yeah, football's always been a massive part of me. Since playing at school, playing as a kid, I was involved in a lot of teams in kind of the Lancashire area. Going back from Craven to Bear Rangers to Westgate Wanderers, and
yeah,
I've dated back, football since I was, I don't know, from about 7, 8, 9. And even, visiting Christie Park, watching the matches.
There it is. Well, you won't recognise that. As I say this every week, they knocked that down in 1985. So you won't recognise that. But that was Christie Park before the North Stand. So there you go.
Yeah, we used to come and watch games there, part of the family. And yeah, I never really ever thought I would be working for Morecambe now. It's been a bit of a journey, but we're here, and yeah.
So when you were training at Mysco, you're right. I'm right in this, Anna. You went on placement at the Globe Arena with Chesh. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, it was just when I was at college, I wanted to get as much experience as I could on the tools while I was doing the work on paper, getting my my level 2 and level 3, and yeah, I approached Chesh about doing some voluntary hours and worked with Danny and Michael for a couple of weeks. Yeah, and it was brilliant. Yeah, the little trio that used to wander around the globe, and yeah, it was good. It was freshening. It was nice. Yeah, it was great.
But then, so you qualified, and again, you ended up down south.
Yeah, well, it first came about. I did actually go to Man City straight after college. I only had 2 months where I kind of was looking for jobs, and then they came to about a temporary contract that was at Carrington.
Right.
So I ended up travelling from Morecambe, because obviously I'm a Morecambe lad, over to Carrington, which is West Manchester, near in that direction, and was doing that for 6 months, and then moved over to City Football Academy, the new state-of-the-art facility, over at where the stadium is, so over the other side of Manchester.
Yeah.
Ended up doing that for it was about just under 2.5 years, the whole duration of my time at Man City. And then, yeah, the job came up at Reading, and them temporary contracts ended up moving to Reading, and yeah, it just kind of went from there, really, 5 years later.
So that's a big move for a young lad going to the Majeski, isn't it? That's what were you like moving away from home?
It was strenuous. It was hard work, but my love from being 14 years old, it's what's driven me forward, and I've always had that in the back of my mind, just wanting to succeed in football and on the grounds teams, and yeah. So you just got to get on with it. I know it's hard to say that, but football clubs are hard to come by. The gaps in the industry for young lads to succeed in are very, very small. So if there's an opportunity there, it feels right, I don't know. I've always just gone with it, really.
So going back to it, how many ground staff did Man City have?
To be fair, Man City actually didn't have that many. I think it was about 10 of us, 11 of us, maybe at the training ground, at the training complex. A couple of managers.
Oh, is that all?
Well, in comparison of sites and pitches and the hectare space that covered by, 10, 11 people are probably not enough. You've got 18 and a half. I think 18 and a half. I'm probably going to get in trouble for this. I think it's 18 and a half, maybe 19 grass pitches.
Yeah.
Across 3Gs, goalkeeping areas, and main pitches. So to be honest, 11 members of staff.
Yeah. I see your point.
But yeah, the overall amount of people working there, was quite a lot. Very similar at Reading as well, but the campus sizes were a lot smaller at Reading, you see. So, but no, it was great moving down south. Overall, the 4.5 years, it was a hell of an experience, and it's grown me into, the confident, passionate, hard-working lad that I now am. It's a breath of fresh air, really, to be honest.
So how did it come about that you ended up back at your hometown club? That's a really strange one, that, isn't it?
It was, and obviously with the relationships that I'd built back in, dating back to 2014 when I was actually, like we just spoke about before about being voluntary, the relationships that I built with, Rod, Graham, other people around the club. I just had a phone call, was asked to come in. I'm not sure whether it was just myself or there was some other people involved who were also, kind of interviewed, and I think Rod kind of was happy with the conversation, and that was it pretty much. It was quite straightforward. But I've always had the love for Morecambe, and with this new experience of the club going into League One for the first time, new general manager of Ben, who's been brilliant in supporting in myself, and had a good chat with him, and it just seemed very positive.
And Joel, I know you'll probably have a couple of questions, and I'll pass over to you at this point. And from my point of view, it's nice to see, it's nice to see a local boy who's gone away, made good, and come back, and now we're making use of him, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great, and it's there's a little nice kind of little narrative and story element to it, which always plays quite nicely,
And that's why I wanted him on. That's why we wanted him on, because it is a great story. Not a lot of people know he's a local lad, so it's like, hey, brilliant.
No, exactly. And to be honest, I can, obviously we all have our little moments of nostalgia occasionally on this podcast, talking about Westgate Wanderers and Bear Rangers. That's brought back a few memories for me when I was a bit younger, playing football matches. But I just kind of wanted to get on with asking, like, so you said you went to do a course at Myerscough College. Was that kind of like a specialist kind of sports pitches course, and how many of those kind of things are there around the country?
To be honest, it's actually a rarity. There's not many. I think there's probably 3, maybe 4 that I'm fully aware of. There's actually one near Reading, just down the road from Reading in Windsor. So that's 2 that I'm fully aware of, and there will be some more. I think there's about, like I said, 3 or 4. But no, going to Myerscough, the whole topic overall is actually under a bracket of agriculture. But then obviously with agriculture being a lot more farming, land-based, it does actually come off that bracket. But specialising in more horticulture, which is the side of agriculture, which is your gardens, landscaping and things like that. And then they actually come off that and have created something called sports turf, which is for sports services, like football, could be cricket, rugby, ball. It kind of goes on from that, really. So yeah, I would say it's definitely a specialist. You can't, study that at your local college. Yeah. that's kind of where it comes from, really.
So really, you undersold yourself, because you were saying from 14 I just wanted to cut grass, but what you're actually saying is I wanted to be involved in sport and cut grass.
Yes, yeah, the two together. You know, the passion of football. Every young lad wants to be a professional footballer. You know, that's what, you know, that's why we play football. We see the big names on the telly and we think, oh, you know, I want to be him. I want to be him. And I kind of just put that in with doing what I enjoy doing outside.
Yeah.
The two and together. I'm never the type of person to sit there and, you know, answer calls all day, or, you know, typing up, you know, essays, or ringing up people for money, or whatever the jobs might be that are out there that everyone seems to work. But no, I just put the two and two together, and it fit mint, to be honest. For me, it fit perfectly, and obviously made a career of it.
Yeah, and doing very well at 25 to be head groundsman at a League One club.
Definitely.
And to be honest, me and Joel, we're not used to saying League One club yet, are we?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. But I suppose kind of talking about how much of a speciality is, I imagine is there kind of quite a strong scientific element to it as well, I'm guessing these days?
Yeah, of course there is. There has to be. Obviously, we're talking about health, you know, health of a living organism, you know, exactly that we are. You know, there's diets to the grass, you know, as daft as it sounds. We do have to look after it the same. You know, we've got to keep it clean, you've got to feed it, you know, we've got to make sure it's aerated so that, you know, it doesn't sit stagnant. And it is a crazy thing that, to be honest, I didn't really think it would have gone into that sort of depth. But, you know, soil science is massive, you know, and then there's all the chemical side of it as well, and the legalities of spraying the right products. And yeah, you've got to know your stuff, definitely.
I suppose looking at these days, I mean, like, we're getting into November now, and obviously the pitches will start cutting up. But from what I've seen, just watching highlight shows and stuff, like, you can see how far things have come in that kind of area, because a lot of the pitches still look pretty decent. So obviously, coming into this time of year, what are the kind of main things that you might do to kind of get through winter? Because obviously I imagine this is your hardest point of the year.
Definitely, you'll see a big difference, and this is where, you know, obviously the public won't know much about it, but a lot of clubs, due to funding or how much money that they want to invest, you can actually get constructed pitches now, which is your most common is assist construction, which the Mazuma doesn't actually have. That's just the standard soil pitch. But a lot of the pitches, you know, at the top end of League One, Championship, Premiership, have actually got reinforcement in them, which is like plastic fibres that are inserted into the soil, allowing the roots to bind onto them, giving the grass basically more anchorage so that it doesn't kick out. But certainly at the Mazuma, we are struggling with that, you know, that side of things, getting into the winter, like you say, and it being a lot colder, a lot wetter. But it's just, you know, keeping the pitch aerated, keeping it dry, keeping it free flowing. We've actually sprayed something called a penetrant on the Mazuma, which we haven't actually done before, which opens the soil pores and allows water to flow through quicker, which is actually helping the issue of drainage. So just doing the right things, the right practices.
I was going to say there was a time. Yeah, obviously go back to the last home game, the Newport game, and there was about sort of 15-20 minutes in the second half where we started to get standing water, and I'm sure as the groundsman you noticed it, and it just started, and then luckily the rain stopped, but the standing water disappeared straight away, and that's never happened before. So that's probably something you've done, isn't it?
Yeah, we have done. A lot of the fans will have noticed. I'm not sure what, I think it was the who did we play before Newport? What was the game?
Cambridge, yeah.
Cambridge, that was it. The Cambridge game. There was a lot of sand on the pitch, and a lot of people were saying to me, you know, what's that sand? Why is the sand there? You know, what's the groundsman been doing? And I even had a passing comment from Adam Phillips, who told me that the pitch was very, very heavy. But that is all process of work that will move us forward for the next couple of months, getting that sand into that profile. with that penetrant that I was explaining before that opens up the pores. So whenever the water falls, that concentration of sand will help pull that water through. It was a bit of a mess for, like I said, the Cambridge game. It looked well, but it played a bit heavy. But going forward, now it's disappeared. It's obviously gone into that profile now. So whenever we do get a deluge of water, it's certainly gonna help us, definitely.
So I like that. Adam Phillips is actually blaming you for the 2-0.
I know, yeah.
He might be listening, and I don't want to upset him, but he had a bit of a win, so I'm not going to lie. Yeah.
That's enough.
Well, that's excellent. It's excellent. We've got somebody to blame.
Yeah, yeah. We put any bad performances. Just one last thing, actually. Talking of like players and people commenting on stuff, do you ever get like specifications from people around the club on what to do, or is it just make it as nice as possible?
To be honest, and this is the hard thing about being a groundsman is, well, especially like myself, someone like myself who's so to it when it comes to things being on point, things looking good. You know, I'm not a fan of presenting something on a match day that I don't look at and think, you know, this is not good enough, or, you know, it would always have to be perfect. So getting that fine line of doing too much can also have a negative impact on the pitch. But in terms of like specifications, to be honest, unless you get to the Premiership, you know, the high end of the Championship, a lot of managers probably don't really know the difference. As long as the pitch is wet and slick for the ball to zip across, they don't really.
Oh,
we've lost him.
Yeah, he's still there.
He's back.
Yeah, he's still there.
Yeah.
Going back to what you said before, how much, you know, you said this sort of plastic mesh thing. What's the sort of starting cost for that?
Well, there's two. There's actually two, because I've put the cis fibres that are inserted into the pitch. There's also another, which is a little bit cheaper, but I'll get onto that. But the cis fibres that are inserted with you've basically got to dig up the pitch down to the drainage layer and refill it up with sand, and then the cis fibres are injected in, and you're looking at about 650,000.
This is just in case me and Joel win the lottery.
Putting plans in place, aren't we? Like that fella in that YouTube video.
You wouldn't want to invest in that. Definitely not.
So what's the sketch? What's the cheaper version then? The
cheaper version is something called fibre sand. Fibre sand, a lot of the League One teams, you know, like the likes of Ipswich, you probably see. I think actually Doncaster is cis stitched, but there's a couple of pitches that have got the fibre sand, and it's basically like horsehair that's in the sand. So what happens is, obviously, as it's compacted and compressed, again, when the roots drop and the roots go down, they bind onto it. It's just anchorage for the roots. So,
and how much is that?
The harder. Without undersoil heating, you're probably looking at around 350 to 400. So it's a little bit cheaper. But again, you know, I have had an outsider come in with me, and I've had a meeting with Ben. Rod's fully aware of this as well, and I have put these forward for the Mazuma, off my knowledge, but it's all to do with financially. So
it's quite interesting, because from the club's point of view, and before we came in, Joel put this better than I could, but obviously we've made a lot of changes. We've got a lot more staff involved match days. There's a lot more staff around, and obviously getting a young sort of like diamond encrusted groundsman like yourself taking over from Chesh, because I mean Chesh has been a groundsman since Northern Premier League. Bless him.
I know, yeah.
You know, he took over last season of the Northern Premier League, and then we're in the conference for all those years. And then we've had League One for all those years. And so from your point of view, you must have had a minimum spec that you said, right, okay, I will come and do the job, but I want this, and this. And that's possibly Chesh listening to this thinking, well, the jam he got it all, or didn't you? Tell me.
We did. We didn't get everything, but the thing that upsets me the most is seeing groundsmen or groundswomen, as I should now say, seeing them struggle with kit is an absolute, just because the mileage, the hard work, the graft that we have to put in, for prepping a pitch and de-setting a pitch so that the pitch is clean, doing all them involves different kits of machinery. And Chesh, bless him, has had next to nothing. And I don't know how he's done it. Honestly, I don't know how he's done it. I would have given up a long time ago. I'd have thrown my toys right out the pram. But, he's had to get on, and he's loved it for the club. And
he has, yeah.
We did get quite a lot of things. Got a couple of new mowers for prepping and cutting and for cleaning up after. We've now got a liquid sprayer, which, they didn't have. There's bits for the tractor. We've got another frost cover. So there's, repairs to the irrigation. So the list is quite endless, to be honest. And, it was quite hard this summer saying to Chesh, oh, this is coming. Oh, that. I felt I'm going to get a slap round the back of the head to say, ooh. But
I've been doing it since 1994 and I've never had any of this.
Bless him, honestly, bless him. He's a great guy. He's a great character. He's got a great personality, and if and when he does step down, he will be massively missed in the club.
Oh yeah, very much so. And like I say, from that point of view, he's been a club legend and a club stalwart. And as you said, probably fighting against the tide, trying to get equipment and all the other stuff. But
definitely,
from your point of view, Rob, that comes hand in hand with the professional job that you've had to do, both at Man City and Reading, is that if you're going to do it right, you've got to do it with all this equipment. And that's coincided with Chesh deciding, right, I'm going to take a step back and us getting into League One. So it's all worked nice, doesn't it, really?
It has. There's obviously other things, there's obviously other things that I could ask for. There's obviously things that I can wish for. But right now, I've got to go in with what's more important, and the basics were more important. There's things like the growing lights from a company called SGL or TLS that basically is artificial lights that help the grass be alive, as I should say, during the dark.
They give it the UV, don't they?
Yeah, it just gives off a light that allows energy. They give off a little bit of heat, but it's photosynthesis. If we lived in the dark forever, we wouldn't, have good skin or wouldn't be healthy, because you need that vitamin. You need the vitamins you need, and the pitches are very, very similar with that. So adding things like that can help massively. Undersoil in.
I've seen when we played Blackpool, not last season before. And they had about 4 of those strips with about sort of 8 lights on each.
Yeah.
And I was talking to one of their guys, and he was saying, we put it on, we do it in 8ths, and then move it across, and then it helps the grass grow. How much are them?
A lot of money. A lot of money.
Just for one strip?
A lot of money.
Really?
Yeah. You can get the used old things, the old rigs, that come from other clubs that are maybe 10 years old, maybe 15 years old. You can get for maybe £5,000, £7,000, £10,000. Obviously, going to the new style of that same up to 40,000. There's all different types, mate. There's some that are different far, different wattage, different heights. Ones with 40 lights on, ones with 2 lights on that are just for like a little tripod and a goal mount. They vary, and again, I've got contacts. I've worked with these people that have supplies these rigs to Man City and Reading, and the contacts are out there. It's just financial. So
we need to keep buying the lottery tickets, is what you're saying.
We need to walk around with the bucket at half time, don't we?
So. Well, it's good. I'm glad you've still got things on your wish list, to be honest, because obviously, at least Chesh can't be too jealous because you haven't got all you wanted.
I don't think I'll ever get what I want, but I've certainly, I've got to keep going. I've got to keep pushing, and I will keep pushing. But the main thing for us is to. I would like to think I've given the knowledge to those above, and explain the beneficial that we would have by reinforcing that pitch. You know, it would any doubt of any rain, of any weathers, of any sorts of, apart from obviously snow and frost, without undersoil heating, but certainly, you know, the rain that we know Morecambe get, and you know, that would massively help. You know, games wouldn't be called off for weather in terms of rain, so they play better, allow more games. You know, you can hold up to over 110, 115 fixtures on a reinforced pitch, whereas the Mazuma might struggle with 35.
And that's what we get every season, really, isn't it? So,
you know, how much that could generate, you know.
Yeah, true.
I don't know. It's like I said, that sort of thing's not really for me. All I can do is pass on the information, pass on knowledge that I've picked up since I started 8-9 years ago, and yeah.
Yeah, but the good thing is, you know, Charlie's listening now, so you can say it. So I'll wrap it up now, but I know I want to mention you've got a great team with what I call the Spanner brothers, with Lee and Chesh themselves. You've got a great little team there, haven't you, Rob?
Oh, we like getting our spanners and whatever ratchets and pegs.
It just tickles me because I see you all stood there during the sort of like pre-match kick about 25 to 3, all getting your stuff out ready. And I'm like, here we go, Spanner brothers are about to move in and take the goals down and what have you. So yeah, I wanted to give them two a big shout out because they're a big part of the community, aren't they?
You know, I can't thank Lee enough. You know, he's days when he's not working up at the dentist, you know, he's down walking behind a Honda. You know, you can see, you know, the lad might be struggling or whatnot, and he's always passionate to get out and help. He comes and divot. You know, he, like I say, he doesn't get paid, and not many people would stand out in the rain and do the thing, and he does. You know, he comes down and, you know, I can rely on him, which you shouldn't really rely on someone who's that casual, but you can. So him and Terry and Bob Fleetwood as well. He's another one. You know, he's the goals at the away end, and big credit to him because he comes down and helps with the boards on the side of the pitches that we've also got to maintain and move for Martin. And honestly, the lads are brilliant. You know, you wouldn't get that from the big clubs. You know, people put their noses up and think, you know, I'm not helping you. But I've come into Morecambe and I've never met a group of friendlier faces. Oh,
that's good to know, Rob. That really is.
It is, honestly. I felt welcome. Obviously, it's 6 months now. We're into the 6th month. You know, and since day one, you know, I've felt great. I felt, you know, it's nice to come home, and you know, and that's a big part to play in it. So,
well, all I can say is I spoke to you at the start of the season, and I've been trying to get you on ever since, and you resisted till November. So I'm going to say now, if the pitch starts going to pot and we start losing, we'll have you back on in February and we'll blame you.
Honestly, yeah. Honestly, it'll be fine. We'll get there. Hopefully,
of course it will.
Sun starts moving up over that stand.
Yeah.
Just them shady shoes. The pitch will start recovering again. Once we get through to the end of January, we've cracked it really.
Yeah.
And we've had the run of games, and we've had the tougher month.
Yeah, true.
Ridiculous.
And the days start getting longer on the 21st of December, don't they? So there you go.
How long's that? 4 weeks.
6 weeks. Yeah, 5 weeks. So yeah, there you go. We've done the bit. Listen, thanks for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. I knew you'd have some good stories to tell. So and well, like I say, we'll get you back on at the end of the season with what challenges you faced in your first winter. But by then, obviously, we'll be in the playoff places.
Yes, we'll be ready for the championship.
Yeah, yeah, you'll be what, a plastic pitch then.
Oh, definitely, brilliant. Thank you for your time.
You're all right. Thanks, Rob, and take care. Rob.
Cheers. Thanks very much.
Well, I'm glad we're still here. We've lost Rob. He's gone off to do important things, and we're joined by Charlie from the board and first team assistant manager, Diarmuid O'Carroll. How are you, chaps?
See, you've got it wrong. I definitely don't have 3 cars. I'm denying that till I die, and I'm not the assistant manager. I'm the first team coach. So,
first team coach. I always say assistant manager because I always say assistant manager because I'm just like, well, I just throw it out there. You never know, do you? You never know.
Technically, we all assist the manager. That's the reason I'm there.
Well, that's true enough.
Oh.
But thanks for joining us. We start as we mean to go on. A little bit of a chat about the international break, Joel. And it's been a good week for the Morecambe lads who've disappeared away. Alfie with a couple of goals. I've got to say, he looked to have played quite well for the under-21s. Jockel's involvement with Iceland youngsters, but probably the pick of them for me was Greg Lee coming on and nearly scoring for Jamaica.
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't seen the Jamaica highlights actually, but I'll have to have a proper look for them because I think the US men's team put them up on their YouTube. But yeah, I watched a bit of the game that Alfie was involved in when he scored a couple, and he played very, very well. A lot of the stuff was going through him. Got his 2 goals, and hopefully that'll give him a boost. Obviously, I think Jockel played a game in net for the Iceland under-21s. It looked a bit of a manic game. I think somebody got sent off, and there were about 8 yellow cards. So I'm sure he had fun there. And then obviously, Greg Lee coming on for Jamaica seniors, and then against quite a big side in that part of the world against the USA. And also, if you look at Jamaica's squad as well, like they've got some really good players. They've got Mikel Antonio, Leon Bailey. I think they have Ravel Morris on the bench. They didn't have him in the squad this time round, but they've got Damari Gray in there. So, it's great for him to be, A, competing at a senior international level in World Cup qualifiers, B, with these top, generally quite attacking players, which is, going to be a great experience for him.
I'll come to you now, Diarmuid. From a club point of view, it's fantastic to have these lads involved, but it's also frustrating because we've got that many internationals that were missing fixtures.
Yeah, listen, we can. At the end of the day, we brought these lads in knowing that this is what we want. We want Alfie, for example, not only to be with 21s, but with the senior team. We want Jockel to kick on. We want. It's fantastic for Greg. Actually, good chat with Greg before he left. It was his second. That would have been a second cap. So his last cap was a decent amount of time ago at Aberdeen before his injury. So it's brilliant. I think the next one for me, Callum Jones. I'm determined to get Callum Jones into the Wales and the 21 squad. I know that will add another number for us, but he's another one who deserves recognition at that level. He's doing fantastic. So the more the merrier. If it keeps going, please God, Ryan McLaughlin get back in around it again. And listen, we'll deal with it. Yeah, we didn't have the fixture against Wigan, but it could be a blessing in disguise in the end. We'll play them in the middle of January, and hopefully we'll be ready to go for them then.
Cole Stockton for England, obviously, as well.
Oh, standard, yeah. I'm trying to get him to declare for Ireland, but I don't know. I'm not too sure if there's any, if he's had a pint of Guinness or not. I don't know.
Yeah, you're using the Jack Charlton recruitment policy there.
Yeah, he's the new Tony Cascarino. He went to Ireland at some stage for a couple of days, I'm almost sure. So go with that.
I like that. Yeah, good luck with that one.
Cheers.
But I like what you're saying there, Charlie. Yeah, Cole for England. That would be a good shout, actually. So moving on, Diarmuid, come to the last time we spoke to you. It was in the early days of the season. It was late summer, and hopes were high. We had a fantastic start. The crowds have generally been really, really good. The fans have been right behind the team, and then in recent weeks, so probably starting with the sort of the last minute loss at Wycombe, we've really had some, shall we say, loss of form. And that was probably always going to happen when the nights got longer, the pitches got heavier, and injuries and suspensions took their toll. It happens to everybody. But from our point of view, 19 players signed in the summer, it was surely too much to expect us to carry on all that way, wasn't it?
Yeah, listen, we don't. Everything you've named there is obviously like factors in the whole situation, but we, as a management team, we don't look at any excuses. We know where we are. We knew where we were going into the season. There was a lot of excitement about us getting so many points on the board early. But ultimately, 15, 16 games in, we're not in a bad position. Do you know what I mean? We're pretty happy. Yeah, we can do better. But as you said, bringing all those players in, the manager said it was a challenge himself in his press today, that when he came in, he only had 3 players signed. And obviously as a club, maybe looking forward to establishing itself in League One, it's maybe come a year or two before everyone expected. So we're all kind of chasing, we're all working hard, we're all trying to do extra wee bits. But I would say largely I'm very happy with how it's gone so far. Yeah, we've dipped off, but I think we've also been slightly unlucky in the fact that we had this run of away games, this run of tough away games that if you look at them on paper, you think, you know what, it's tough to come out of any of them with points, even at full strength, even with no injuries, with no suspensions, with even at our best, to go to Wickham and to go to these places like Oxford and things and compete with teams with massive budgets it'd be very difficult. So no, it's one of them. We're enthused. We're looking forward to it. We have a good run of games now coming up. The 3 league games coming up, and then the FA Cup game. So we had a great week of training. So we're looking forward to attacking it. The games coming up.
And I'll go back to the Newport game. Not the greatest game we've ever seen, but cup games are all about getting through, aren't they? And I told the story last week where there was two old gentlemen sat 2 rows behind me in the main stand. And when yourself and Stephen were putting the board up saying Wildig was replacing Phillips, the old bloke behind me went, no, what's he doing? And of course, 20 seconds later, Aaron Wildig scoots round the back, pops it into the net, and I just turned around and smiled at him. And his old mate just went to him, "That's you told." So, I mean, that must have been satisfying for you, for Aaron to come on and do what he did, but also just to get through, because that was a tricky tie against Newport. Yeah,
listen, it's a slippy one. There's not a whole pile between. Obviously, we're 5th or 6th, bottom 6 of League One at the minute. They're going well. They're doing well in League Two. There's not a huge amount of difference between teams on the rise and teams maybe at the bottom half of League One. So, no, a slippy one. I think they were a good side. Actually, was very impressed by them, how they played football. I know obviously a new manager in there as well. So, and yeah, from Wildig, listen, the gaffer makes decisions. We make decisions on the sideline. Some go right, some go wrong, but more often than not, you're hoping for the best. But in particular with Aaron, he's had a tough time through little niggly things, through illnesses, through now he's twisted an ankle again, unfortunately. But he seems to have been cursed so far this season. But we were just absolutely delighted that for him, because he's a good lad, he's one of our experienced players, and when we sat down at the start of the season, he was a big player for us that we looked to have a huge impact. So we were just delighted that he was back, and obviously looking forward to him attacking these league games. And sod's law, he's gone and twisted his ankle the other day, which is a shame, but not too serious, thank God. But it'll keep him out for a few days, unfortunately.
So a perfect time to ask you then, what's the injury situation like with the rest of the squad? Obviously, Courtney Doofus has been on the bench. I know that Abika was hopefully playing in a trial match a couple of weeks ago, that sort of thing. How's it coming on with all the long termers?
Yeah, we had a kind of behind closed doors bounce game with the youth team, so we kind of mixed and matched with the players we had. We gave a couple of the more senior ones a little bit of a rest to give them a couple of days and stuff, and then the likes of Courtney got good minutes. I think he played 45 or 60 minutes or something. John Obika was involved. Shane played 60 minutes in that. Josh McPake played 60 minutes in that. So that's what you want. We got the minutes into the legs. Those boys have trained fully. John is still a long way off. There's no real... We're not going to pinpoint a date for John yet, because he's probably a month, 6 weeks ahead of schedule. The type of professional he is, the type of athlete that he is. He's pushing surgeons, he's pushing the physios, he's pushing everyone, and he's a specimen, a fantastic pro. So he's the one pushing to be back earlier. But no, Courtney being back is a major positive. He was on the bench for the game, but to be honest, he was there. If we could get him on for 5 minutes, we would have done it, but we didn't want to give him much longer than that. So it was more getting him back involved, showing that his hard work is being rewarded, and now hopefully he'll be back in the mix again for the weekend.
And it'd be good to have, like you say, Josh McPake showed a lot of promise in the appearances he's made. And this is only personally, I think we've really missed Shane's energy in midfield, so it'll be great to have them back.
Yeah, I think Shane has been borderline. It's maybe a big statement, but one of our best signings, if not the best signing. Probably when you compare expectation to the reality, and that's no offense to Shane, and people maybe it wasn't as flashy a signing basically when he came in, but I think Shane has been fantastic. He's been pivotal in all the best performances we've had. He's been in there and as you said, covering every blade, getting around the place and getting in with a couple of goals as well. So, and special mention to Josh as well, huge talent. Obviously, he's had a tough time with injuries as well a few times. Like Aaron, he's been about to start and about to get back in, and to be rewarded for doing really well in training. And he's just twisted the ankle and done different things. So good for him to be back in. As I said, we have a more fully fit squad now. I think we'll have 21 senior players training tomorrow, plus the goalkeepers. I never count the goalkeepers. So that's fantastic. That's the most we've had all season. So long may it continue, and then hopefully we'll get Freddie and the likes of Aaron back as well very soon.
So Charlie, I'll come to you now. There's obviously quite pleased with the Buxton draw. It's like going back to the old days of the Northern Premier League, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 20 minutes my mother-in-law's house as well, which is a good and bad thing. I get to go and see the mother-in-law, so every cloud football match on. But,
presumably nobody in your family listens to this.
No. I just get moaned at for doing it. Yeah, obviously really good tie. It was very, very strange, the FA Cup last year, obviously for a very simple reason. There's no fans there. You know, the Chelsea experience was ridiculous, really. You know, there was 6 of us there. I'm saying it's a Petr Cech, saying how good, comparing how good. You said, who's our goalie that day? Who's our goalie that day?
Halstead.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I thought it was Halstead. I thought it was. Yeah, and he actually played quite well, and he did a really, really good game. And Petr Cech was like, "Yeah, you're not near as bad as we thought you were going to be," and it was so quiet, what an occasion would have been. So if we weren't taking our things for granted, it looked like last night's game showed. Dermot and I were talking about it earlier. Obviously, there's a bigger gap between Buxton and us, but they'll be up for it, won't they? And the BBC are obviously looking for a giant killing by putting us on the TV. But if we can get through that, then get a good draw. It's good for the fans, good for the players, good for bank balance, and good for the things at the transfer window and all that sort of stuff. So it's really, 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 really important that Dermot and the team win 5-0. And we get an away draw to Man United. That's the main thing we're relying on.
So no pressure, Dermot.
No, just a standard bit of gentle reminder there from Charlie. Thanks for that, mate. But no, in all seriousness, listen, it's only a good draw if you do it right, if you do it properly and you do it professionally. So I know, for example, Martin Foyle, who's in now as the head of recruitment, he knows a lot of the players quite well. He's also going to watch them possibly twice, maybe even 3 times before we play them. Neil Wainwright is helping us out as well to watch a game, so we're not taking them lightly in any way, shape or form. In fact, the opposite, we're doing a little bit more than we would probably usually do for a league game, because we know maybe slightly less about them. So
it's worth mentioning, Dermot, about Martin Foyle. That's I helped Stephen with the recruitment of that, and real key appointment for us. I think it shows me in business. I think it shows we're being serious when it comes to a long-term player recruitment strategy. I think it's important to say, and that's what we were saying to Martin and Stephen with this. Martin's worked with Stephen before, and they've worked really, really well together with Dermot. But Martin is the head of recruitment for Morecambe Football Club. He's there for the long term. He's there to help us plan a strategy moving forward, to help us develop a long-term chain of players coming through to which we can monetize and help the club progress. He's a great guy. He's done a great job at Northampton, great job at Motherwell, and it's all part of the three-year plan that everyone knows about. We've got to try and solidify. And like Dermot was saying, we are in a position where we're on just above the relegation zone. But I'm pretty sure I can say that compared to other clubs, we've got lots of positive momentum and lots of really cool things happening to help us get out of it. Wickham, and I was at Wickham and Oxford. I think you guys probably were as well. It was very, we're in a situation where this is Wickham. Wickham probably still should be in the Championship. And Oxford, there's a stat they played, all the bottom teams they played in League One last year, they beat all of them, apart from Swindon randomly. But everyone was really angry we didn't win.
Yeah, we were fantastic. We were fantastic at Oxford, and every single Oxford fan we spoke to said, "Oh, you'll do all right in this league." And it's like, yeah, I liked hearing that, but I'd still rather get the results, But they
rolling over for us then.
Yeah, exactly. So go back to Buxton, Dermot. Obviously, a different set of challenges on a 4G pitch.
Yeah, but a strange one, because you see, when you associate a non-league FA Cup tie in December, you maybe think, right, mucky pitch levels the playing field a little bit, kind of get a home advantage for them. But if anything, the 3G actually is a good thing. I was very positive, very enthused when I heard that. I've played in 3G pitches for years in Ireland, so when you get a decent 3G pitch, you're better off than having a mucky, bobbly, terrible grass pitch. So I don't see it being a major issue. We have a 3G surface at the university that we have access to as well. So no doubt in the build up to that game, we'll put a few sessions on there. The boys will be used to it, and in the nicest way, it won't be an excuse for the lads. Anything that goes wrong in the day potentially, or anything that doesn't happen, we don't want to use any excuses. We want to go at it properly, and there'll be no bobble. You can never blame anything else on a 3G pitch. You can never look at the ground and say, oh no, listen, it wasn't my fault. It's on you completely. So
with my touch, you can.
I know. I'm saying that because none of you really saw me play, so don't worry about that.
Oh yes, I did.
You remember only the good bits, hopefully. So that's all right.
So Joel, you'll have a couple of questions for Dermot.
Yeah, obviously it's been a tough run of form recently, but I think as a fan watching it, I always find it's difficult, like coming away from losing a football match or losing a couple in a row, and obviously your spirits get a bit down as a fan. But as a manager, when you've got to be the motivator, to quote Steve Evans from this week, and speaking about his kind of job things. But yeah, when you've got to be the motivator and get yourself back up again and try and pick everybody else up, how hard is that to do?
Yeah, it's difficult. It is difficult. But I think the key behind a lot of what we've been doing, I think the key behind a lot of our performances, win or loss, is that most of the players, most of the boys have been around the block for a couple of years anyway, and they can feel that we're not a bad side. They can feel that we're doing well. They can feel that we're in games, we're competitive. But it's the phrase now that we're maybe becoming famous for, but it's individual errors, it's set pieces, things like that, the simple side of things that are letting us down, and things that are kind of frustrating for us and frustrating for the players. So it's one of them where when the boys are aware and we're aware that we're doing everything we can do, we continually review it, reflect on it, and try and work towards fixing things. But sometimes people make mistakes, and a lot of these boys are younger. They're new to this level, so frustrating. But as I said, I think there's no doom and gloom, put it that way. We don't feel like a team that's struggling. We're still looking up. I spoke to Charlie earlier on the phone. We're still 100% looking up the table, and that's where everyone in the club is looking. There's nobody looking be over our shoulder and looking worried about it or anything like that. I've heard people say this week is a relegation battle and a 6-pointer and all this kind of stuff, but that's not how we see it. We see going to Oxford as an opportunity to get points. We see going to Wickham as an opportunity to get points. We're trying to play a certain brand, and at times, yeah, we'll get exposed defensively, but we will try and reset that balance a little bit, and we have no doubt that the results will follow.
So obviously, speaking about it, kind of sometimes it's about doing the basics right and avoiding individual errors. And I think looking back over some of our recent performances, there've been good bits there, and then there's just been little bits. And would you say it's almost that have kind of gone wrong? But would you say it's almost kind of like confidence and more the psychological side of things that have been a bit tough? Because obviously you've tried a few different things tactically, and it hasn't quite worked. So I think looking at that, personally, from my view, I think it more looks to be confidence. But what will be your take on that? And if it is confidence, how do you kind of go about helping players turn that around?
Yeah, it's a tough one. The boys haven't become bad players overnight. Obviously, we had some injuries thrown in, the likes of Shane. But you're right. Once you start losing a couple of games, and I think this is probably the gripe I would have with the Papa Johns, is that you still get judged upon the results in the Papa Johns. We treated them purely as fitness exercises and reserve games and almost distractions from our main goal. And then people start to say, oh, you've lost 4, you've lost 5, you lost 6, but they're flinging in Hartlepool and penalties or things like that. So, but it does affect the lads. Listen, we always try and break it down as clear as we can for them and show them the positives, but show them the areas that we can improve. But you can never, in the nicest way, when someone tells you relax or be confident or don't worry about it, it's actually sometimes has the opposite effect. We need little things to bounce for us, like it did at Newport, not the fashionable, beautiful win that we were looking for, but a clean sheet and something to build on, something to kick on from. And now with the boys coming back from international off the back of a really good kind of week, 10 days of training, I'm hoping we see a real bounce on Saturday going into the run of games we have coming up.
So kind of actually talking about that kind of international bounce, with players obviously going away for international duty, do you tend to find that it does give them a bit of a boost, especially if they've had a bit of a good couple of performances like Alfie has done and Greg and Jokel have recently?
Yeah, 100%, especially because they're the right type of people as well. They're the right mentality going away. But like Alfie going away this week, and I joked with him, I was clapping him coming in, saying, "Oh, here comes the goal scorer." And as soon as he got closer to me, I said, "Yeah, but you lost to Malta at home." So it was just joking as well. But no, like Alfie's come back from the time where he made his international debut, loads of plaudits. He played for the 21s, man of the match, 2 goals. Again, loads of plaudits. And that's brilliant. That's what you want. But ultimately, this is the bread and butter. And I've no doubt, I text Greg, I was speaking to Greg yesterday, I've no doubt he'll come back bouncing as well and determined to show again what he's all about, because he wants to stay in that squad. Alfie wants to be in the senior squad. Ryan wants to be in the senior squad. Callum needs to be in the 21s. Jokel wants to kick on and establish his place. So that kind of positivity will only influence us in a nice way. And then we need to keep the boys who've been here working on little bits and then just fine-tuning it as a team. So we, as I said, we feel like we've had a great week, 10 days or so. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm quietly confident, so just don't tell anybody that.
No, I'll keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, there's hardly anybody listens to this.
Yeah, no, yeah. We just do this is just self-indulgence. We don't even broadcast it.
But
yeah, just,
go on.
With McCalmont coming back from international break, obviously the last one he came back from, he made it his senior debut, like you said. But then, and he puts in a great performance against Burton. I thought he was really, really good that game. Gets injured a few days later. I thought Freddie Price did well when he came on against Cambridge last week. Gets injured a few days later. Shane McLaughlin suspended, comes back from that, injured straight away. Does it sometimes feel a little bit like the footballing gods are a little bit against you at times? Does it get a bit frustrating?
Yeah, listen, it gets frustrating, especially when it's things like we along with sports scientists and everything else, we periodize everything we do. We look at everything. We haven't been getting large muscle injuries, besides obviously the likes of John Obika, which is a kind of freak one in pre-season. But someone twisting their ankle or something like that, or an impact injury, or just unlucky. Like Aaron literally went up for a header on his own, landed, and one of the lads' foot was underneath him, so his ankle twisted a little bit, and that was it. It was nothing bad, nothing sinister, but things like that. You look at Freddie as well, coming on, having a massive impact in a bang average performance, but he did well coming off the bench.
He did, yeah.
It's just
that Cambridge goal killed me. That amazing goal. We were playing really, really well, and then he scored that goal. I was like, choking me.
It was a great finish, but it was a mistrap. It was a definite mistrap. And I just think, well, he made the most of that, and it was probably going to end up being their goal of the season, but he was definitely trying to trap it.
I think we've had a couple now. So you look at the Gillingham free kick as well. People are scoring goals they'll never score again in their career. But again, it's nothing we can affect. We can't make excuses, and that's the key. We're very clear in the fact that, listen, there's things we can control, things we can't. We can control some of the goals we've conceded. We can control some of the chances we've missed, or some of the passes that go astray, or different things. But when someone flicks it over their head at 25 yards out and sticks it in past a 6'6" goalkeeper, it's a challenge. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, the injuries, listen, they're frustrating, but that's why we have a 24, 25-man squad. And when one drops out, it gives you an opportunity to maybe push up Connor Pye, to push up Jamie Nicholson, to push up Adam Mayer. That's what we're looking to develop as well. We want to have a pipeline of young boys that could say, do you know what, well, that's okay that Gibbo is injured or sick, up comes Connor Pye. Or it's okay that a winger, someone else is out. We give opportunities. So sometimes there's always a silver lining behind these things.
You're absolutely right, by the way, in that it is being painted by some of the fans on Facebook as a 6-pointer at Fleetwood. And I was just like, why? Who gets relegated in November? You know, it just doesn't happen, does it? So talking about, we've got Fleetwood, and then we've got Charlton, and then MK Dons. So again, some tricky games. You would think Charlton, with the squad they've got, they're capable of vast improvement. Fleetwood, their last win was against a very poor Crewe side, 3-0, but they've been generally pretty good at home. So some tough games coming up, Derm.
Yeah, I genuinely, and listen, everyone says it's in cliched things, but there's no bad teams in the league. We played Crewe, we played Doncaster. Nobody would say is a million miles from the level. in the same way as we can push the teams to the top of the league. But listen, I'm not underestimating how big a game it is at this time of year. But it's one of them where if we lose, we're doomed. It's not like that. It's not. It's the same way as if we win, we're not absolutely safe and going to push for the playoffs. If we win, we'll be 18th. If we lose, we'll probably be 20th, something like that. So it doesn't make a whole pile of difference at this stage of the year, but we have to, from our point of view, get ourselves going again, get back to the form we had early in the season, get back to the style of play that we had early in the season. So there's been a couple of little reset buttons pushed, and as I said, hopefully this run of games will show that, and then I firmly believe we have the potential to go on a good run, to go on a kind of, as Joel mentioned about confidence, get one win and just goes and goes and goes. We're overdue that because of the quality we have in the squad. So hopefully it starts on Saturday.
Well, I know the gaffer always talks about 5-game segments. So if we're looking at league games, we're about to press reset on another 5-game segment, aren't we? So
yeah, and that's it. And people, listen, we all loved it when we got 7 points in the first block and 7 points in the second block. We were like, well, this is easy stuff. That means we may as well push for the playoffs. Like, do you know what I mean? But anyone, and we always said it, don't get too high, don't get too low. But I mentioned it today, I think, when we were having a chat. If we'd have got 5 points in the 3 blocks, everyone would be going, do you know what? It's brilliant. We're competitive and we're about right and we're really happy and it's been fantastic. It's just because we got 7 and 7 and 1, then it's a different story. So, but yeah, listen, we have our targets, we have our aims. We're not looking to finish 20th. We have our targets and we're ambitious. That's the reason we came in. That's the reason the manager took the job. But we're also realistic to the job that we took on. And we're realistic to the fact that you bring in 19 players. Not everyone's going to hit the ground running. Not everyone's going to play from the beginning. Not everyone's going to be a huge success. And we're working with people. Look at Callum Jones. Callum didn't play a minute for a couple of months pretty much. And now in the last month or so, yeah, we've been probably a little bit out of form a little bit, but I think Callum has been sensational. He's been fantastic. So that's what it's all about. We need to develop. We need to work with the team. We need to find the right balance. Hopefully, please God, we can pick a settled team. We can try and get a back 5. We can try and get a midfield 3 that's settled and a front 3 that's settled. And I've no doubt then after the back of that, we'll kick on and we'll only look one direction then.
I sincerely hope so, Derm. We're due, for me, I just think, like you said, there's been some worldies against us. We've scored some worldies as well, but it's about time we had a bit of luck. We've had a couple of penalty shouts where I was thinking, well, I've seen that given, but it's not happened. But that's what happens, isn't it?
Yeah, and you see even the other night, and again it's a Papa John's, but you see the other night the performance of Jonah Younger. Like that's Jonah right back at his best. Like that's Blackburn Jonah. That's what we saw before his injury. And on another night, I think he scores a hat-trick. He scores 3 or 4 goals on the night, and he was sensational. Just because we lose on the night, that's a major positive. That's the reason those games are good, because now hopefully Jonah takes that form into the league and he kicks on and he can be a massive player. So that there is positives and there is things that you can lean on from the last few games. And I mentioned Callum, I mentioned Jonah. So there's loads of things that we can look to and try and combine with what was good early in the season.
I'll come to Charlie now. Obviously, there's plenty to talk about from the boardroom, Charlie. We've had Ben releasing his update today, which has been a very interesting reading. But also, there's been the YouTube video with Ben, Ryan, and your colleague James, which was also very interesting watching.
Yeah, well, the question on everyone's lips is who's going to appear in more podcasts this season, Joel Shooter or James Wakefield? We're on about 259 each so far this season. But we're just waiting to see who the winner of that award will be. But yeah, we're just trying to communicate what's going on a lot better than the previous regimes have done. And everyone can read Ben's update. We did want to make sure that fans are more listened to on this with this sports liaison officer. I mean, this lady Anya, who's working in the ticket expert, has been a fantastic hire for us from Barrow. And like Dermot said, Ben's been probably, apart from Shane McLaughlin, the best signing of the season. So everyone can read that. I know we're running probably against time because you've been on podcasts for a while, but the main thing I just wanted to say was that as Dermot will testify, we are, the whole club is together. We're not we've never ever feel like we're going in a downward direction. We feel like we're going in an upward trajectory. You know, we're all together. We're all supporting each other, and you know, we've seen what's going on in other clubs. You know, and on social media and stuff at the moment, and everyone should be rest assured that, you know, we're looking forward to a long-term successful future together.
And just before I'll come to Joel, before we wrap up about the Shrimps Trust, and I thought it was interesting that obviously most people will have watched Stockport versus Bolton Wanderers last night, and I was texting the little social group that I'm in, and I just said, it's a good job we're no longer in the conference, because with our budget, we probably wouldn't even be in the top 6, because Stockport are just paying, you know, so much money. They signed Quigley from Barrow, Paddy Madden from Fleetwood, and I'm like, blooming heck, fight, you know, they are really, really going for it. But what a good side they looked last night, didn't they?
Yeah, I actually went and watched them a few weeks ago against Barnet in the league. They lost. They were a bit top heavy, really. They just got sliced apart on the break, which actually happened last night. But, you know, I did enjoy watching Ian Evatt have his pants pulled down, actually. It was quite fun. But actually, I was coming back over from Leeds and I was stuck. It took about 4 hours to get back over from Leeds, which was painful. But
we didn't walk in.
No, I know. No, it was Northern Rail. That's what it was. But you know, a thrilling extra cup tie with 8 goals. FA Cup tie, sorry, with 8 goals and extra time. You know, that helped the process. But yeah, you know, it's a very tough league at the minute. You've not just got Stockport, you've got Wrexham and
Notts County,
and you know, so much crazy stuff. And you know, Wrexham's mental what's going on there with Ron McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds. It's quite funny, really. But yeah, in terms of, I think you mentioned about the trust. Obviously, we've got a few initiatives going over Christmas. Obviously, we've got the toy appeal, and that's going well. We've had a few donations already, which is nice.
Is there a closing date at a home game for that?
Ooh.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
Probably the Fleetwood game's the 18th, probably that, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, so
yeah, but we'll put something out on social media afterwards. And yeah, and then there's a few kind of different things we've got lined up. We had the Christian and Bulow match the other day. It was on the day that the Wigan game was meant to be, and that went down really well, it seems. And yeah, so there's a few things going on. Obviously, like always, keep an eye on our socials to keep updated on those, and obviously away travel with the nice new shiny online portal which you can use. Yeah,
which is the coaches are full for Fleetwood. And I just want a final thing: over 1,000 tickets sold for Fleetwood. That's got to be good for both the team and the fans, Dermot.
Yeah, we're buzzing when we heard that during the week. There, it gave us a real lift as well. It just shows you. Very much like what we've been saying from the beginning, the fans are right behind us, and I think, listen, we know that people will be frustrated with losing. We're frustrated with losing, but yeah, that's fantastic. A nice wee local one for us as well. We're not going a million miles away, so hopefully we can give them something to cheer about, and hopefully it'll continue on then for the other games we have coming up, the likes of Wigan and Bolton as well over the festive period. So nice local ones for us to get the place rocking.
And Charlie, 1,000 to Fleetwood. We could probably take the same to Buxton, but obviously we've got to wait for the ticket allocation there.
Yeah, the mystery. If you're asking me for information, I don't know.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying that we'd probably take 1,000 to Buxton, but I doubt we'll get that many tickets because obviously they want to say it's our home fans, don't they? So
it's only a small capacity, isn't it, Buxton? It's only
4,000.
Yeah. So you'd imagine we won't get a huge portion. You wouldn't think, would you?
No, but at least it's on the TV, and I know the club have worked quickly to put some sort of function on at the Mazuma for the 12:45 kickoff, so you can probably get a pie and a pint there and watch it with other fans if you don't get a ticket. So,
or people can go to my mother-in-law's house if they want, if they overspill. Makes nice cake.
That's not. Yeah, you managed to pull that back now, because obviously you can now get your family to listen to the end of this rather than the start of it. Yeah. Listen, thank you very much. Thanks for joining. Diarmuid, Charlie's christened us the 3 Ronnies, so because we're on this most of the time. So thank you for joining us. Thankfully, the Wi-Fi didn't give out, and thankfully you didn't have to go outside and wear a coat.
No, if you can see me on this, if you're not listening on the podcast, then you can see my lights have been dimmed because I'm using so much Wi-Fi. So that's the thing. Charlie doesn't pay me very much. You see, that's the problem. I can't do both at the same time. Do you know what I mean?
I'll let Charlie come back on that next week when you're not listening. So thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back next week, hopefully with some lovely news about away wins at Fleetwood and home wins over Charlton. Dermot, thanks for joining us. Hope you'll come back again sometime after Christmas. Charlie, brilliant as always. Joel, a pleasure, and keep up the good work. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.